Uh, if the software is correct or not.
Okay. When you can you give me an example? What do you mean, correct or not?
It's like if it's up to the client's need. We're just checking whatever has been developed has been up to the customer's need.
Okay.
Requirement.
Okay. Can you give me a day-to-day life example? Like, where do you see, why do you need software testing? Why exactly is it needed? Developers can also do the testing. Why is it there is a separate field for QA and there is a separate field for developers? Any idea?
No idea.
No idea.
I guess developers can also do it.
Yeah.
Pooja, I can give an example. It's funny.
Sure.
Suppose I can take the banking login example. Suppose the developers have developed a page for the customer to log in with their own ID and password. So the developers have to design in such a way that a particular designated ID and a designated password, if one particular person logs in, it has to go correct. So once the developer creates something like this, the tester would come in place to make sure that to test whether it is working according to what if he puts the right password and the right ID, then it has to log in. If he puts a single digit wrong, even while typing the password or the ID, then he's not supposed to log in. So that's when the testers would come in place.
Okay. So, I mean, why can't developers do a tester's job? Why do we actually need testers?
To evaluate the quality of the process?
So, they would have actually worked on the software, they would have developed it. So, do you think they can't test it? They would know each and everything. They would know the internal code as well.
I think they would not do it on a step-to-step basis. So that's when a tester would be needed.
No, I would tell him that I will pay you for QA as well as the development. It would be good that if you take care because you know the internal coding, you know everything about testing. I mean, you know each and every step what you have written while coding. So it becomes easy for you to actually develop and write the code and test as well.
The developer would not know whether he's done it wrong unless some other person would test him.
Yes. So yeah. So
Pooja,
what we'll be discussing in the whole module, what are we gonna cover? First, we will know what is software testing. Why do you prefer software testing as your career? Is it a right field for you to prefer? Are you doing the right thing, or you think you need to switch to another field? All your questions will be answered in module 1. In module 2, we will move to software development lifecycle and quality standards. So, what are we gonna do as a QA engineer? So, once the development is completed, what should we do? How does the cycle of this QA engineer works? What testing life cycle? What is the life cycle which works? What are the testing concepts and what is manual testing? What are the concepts which are required for starting a manual testing job? All these will be covered in module 3. And in module 4, we will be doing requirement configuration management strategy. What is defect lifecycle? How do you actually go and log a bug or a defect when you find it across your application? In real time, we would be working with the tool to see so that you can show your experience that you have worked on a project and you have the experience on these concepts, and it would be easier for you to get into any IT company. So in module 4 we will discuss all these topics, and in module 5 which is the main module, we will be discussing on the testing tools which are available in the market. What are the open source automation tools which are available, like Selenium WebDriver, which is quite famous and it is being used by most of them in the company, and it is a free source also. So we will be discussing on all the automation tools and load runner concepts as well. So basically we'll start with QA, what introduction to QA and what is software testing, because most of you are from non-IT background as well. So we would not actually just jump into testing concepts before you understand what basically is software testing. Why do you have to get into software testing? We will get it would be like a beginner course, so anyone can understand the course content easily, so you do not have to worry on that. And it would be a two-way interaction. Whenever you feel that I am going fast or whenever you have any kind of doubts, just stop me there. Make sure that you clear your doubt and then I move forward. Sounds good?
Yes, Pooja.
Okay. So in module 1 we will be seeing what testing is, what is QA, is testing a technical rule, what is the difference between project and product. You would have heard in most of the companies this is a product based company, this is a service based company. So we'll see the difference between project and product, difference between QA and QC, what is verification, what is validation, how are defects or bugs logged in software testing, what are the roles and responsibilities of a tester, what are the career options which are available for the test engineer, and how is the market for testers. And after each module we will have an assignment, and I will be sharing you the assignment and you guys have to reply back with the answers on it. Okay, so as I said, what is software testing? So software testing is a planned process that is used to identify the correctness, completeness, security and quality of a software. So testing, why is software testing required? Testers required. I had asked you a question. What is the difference between? I mean, software developer can himself do a software testing job as well, but he will not be able to find bugs as we find. Yes, as I told you that he will be paid for software testing as well as development, and he has developed the product. If he has developed the product, he would feel that whatever he has developed is right, and he would not see with respect to the tester's perspective. He would not be doing a negative testing because he thinks that no, his code is correct. It's a human mentality. That's the reason, and developers would not test in depth, because so if you find a bug and if you say that to the developer that this is a bug, he would actually not easily agree to it, because he feels no, whatever has been developed is right. At times we need to fight back as well, saying no, this is not right, this is how it should work, how the application should work, this is what the client requirement is. So basically developers feel that whatever they have done is right, and testers will be like, okay, they would not think with developers perspective. They would think that they need to log more bugs which would actually help them in their career growth. That's the reason we have a two different field, for one for development and one for QA. So why is software testing required? So basically you have some client requirements and you need to fulfill those requirements. Before you give your product to your client and they come up with the bugs and they say that your product is not good, it doesn't look nice. You will not be getting your second assignment from them. So basically we need to be sure as a tester or as a quality engineer that before we give our product to the customers, the product is correct, it is complete. Complete means you will not find any bug. As a tester, as a human being, we can miss on one or two bugs, because there are tendencies that we don't actually look into other perspective also. So that's the reason they say that a software is never. I hear a background sound. Can you mute yourself? Okay. Komal?
Yes.
Can you mute speaker? Because I hear a lot of sound coming.
No, I actually got able to join.
You're not able to join still? Oh.
I did.
Okay. Probably Mikhail is looking into it. He might help you. In the meanwhile, just listen. This is a demo class. We'll be repeating it again. So not to worry on that. So yeah. Software testing again. So before handling the software to the client, we need to make sure that the software is correct. It is complete. Complete in the sense it's bug free. It is secured. So what do you mean by secured? Secured in the sense your security, the software itself should be secured. Some end user should not be able to hack. So we need to make sure that by giving the software to the client, it should be completely bug free, it should be secured, and the quality of the software should be good, and it should be bug free. Then you say that yes, my software testing has been completed on this product and it has been released in the market. So testing is generally done to demonstrate that software is doing what it is supposed to do, as well as software is not doing what it is not supposed to do. What is supposed to do and what it is not supposed to do is usually got by the requirements. We would be getting the requirements from the end users or the client, or if it is a product-based company, the product owners would decide whether what the software is supposed to do and what it is not supposed to do. As a tester, we need to just validate whether the software is working according to the requirements, whether the software is not working according to the requirements. Based on these, we come up with the test cases, write our test cases, execute them, and send the reports. So you don't have to worry what test cases, how do we execute. These will be covered in the further classes. For this demo class, you just have to understand what software testing is. Are you guys clear on it?
Yes, Pooja.
Okay. Anytime if you feel I'm going fast, please stop me, or if you have any doubt, please stop me. I'll be able to answer your questions. Okay?
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Okay. So this is called software testing. You would have heard quality assurance, QA. What is QA? What is software testing? You would be confused at times. So basically QA is a planned and systematic way to evaluate the quality of the process used to produce a quality product. So basically QA has its set of processes. So for example, if you have to get into any manufacturing unit and do a testing, you have to actually wear gloves, shoes, hang, everything you need to wear. They have after you have worn your gloves, your shoes, your clothes, full hand clothes, then only you are supposed to enter any manufacturing unit. So there is a process which is being followed. In a similar pattern, while doing the quality assurance or when we are doing a testing, before the software testing is started, we follow some of the processes. So for processes, it means probably if you are going into an agile methodology, don't get confused what agile is. It's one of the software development life cycle. We will be discussing it later. So it has its own process. Every day we need to have a scrum calls. Every day we need to have a scrum meeting. We need to have a planning session, grooming session. So there is a process which is being followed. And based on those processes only we move further in our testing life cycle. So the goal of the QA is to provide assurance that the product is meeting customers' quality expectations with the processes being followed. So every organization will have its own process which should be followed before the actual execution of the test cases happen. This is called as quality assurance. Okay? Any doubts between testing and quality assurance?
No.
No? Okay.
Pooja, this is Rani.
Yeah.
So you mean to say that the software testing and quality assurance are two different things?
Yes, they are two different things. Because in testing we will actually be executing the test cases and finding the bugs. But in quality assurance we need to follow a process. Okay, before entering a room we need to make sure that we have worn our slippers. Example I'm just giving. So before actually testing our software, we have set of things which need to be followed. We need to come up with what is the software development life cycle, what is the process which we are going to follow before starting our testing, and what will be the process which we will follow after the testing is completed. So we need to come up with a process. We cannot randomly actually test our product, just send the reports to the stakeholders. What are the processes we have followed till the testing life cycle is being completed comes under quality assurance. And under software testing, we are just executing the test cases and making sure that whatever the test cases we have executed is being logged under, say for example, under Jira, and we make sure that the quality of the product is good. But we do not follow any process as such.
Okay.
In quality assurance, we follow some processes, and then we execute our test cases.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So most of you will be having a question, is testing a technical role? Do we need any technical knowledge for this, right? I'm sure whoever has joined here might have from a non-IT background and who do not have any knowledge on what software testing is. They would obviously have some doubts on whether it's a testing a technical role or not. So let me answer this question for you guys. Testing actually plays a crucial role in IT industry, but it does not require any technical knowledge when it comes to manual testing. So testing, you can say, divided it into two: manual testing and automation testing. Whoever initially joins as a fresher into any organization, he would be working mostly on manual testing. And manual testing actually does not require any technical knowledge. Any person from commerce background or finance background or any of the background, BA background, can get into testing, especially into manual testing, but it actually does not require any technical knowledge. Here the main focus is to perform functional testing from the user's perspective. Functional testing means client would have given you a requirement. You have to understand that requirement with respect to the application. That's it. As a manual tester, you need to know. So in every organization, the application will be different. So you have, as a QA engineer or as a tester, you have to just understand the application, which is actually not a big deal. Anyone can understand the application, how it works, right? For example, Amazon.com. If you just go through 2-3 times through that web pages, you'll know, okay, this website is supposed to do this thing. In a similar fashion, in any organization, if you go, you will know that, okay, this application is supposed to do this. You need to understand the application. Once you understand the application, you need to understand what the client requirement is. Once you understand the client requirement and the application, you are good to go, and anyone can become a manual tester, because you need to write the test cases according to what client requirement is, and you need to verify it manually. So what do you mean verify it manually? So for example, consider the gmail.com page. Okay, everyone knows what that application does, gmail.com. So it has fields like login, password, sign in. Okay, as a QA engineer, you would write test cases like that. For correct username, wrong password, correct username, correct password, it should take you to the mailbox. If we give wrong username, wrong password, it should not take you to the mailbox, and it should throw an error. So based on those requirements, you come up with your test cases. Once you come up with your test case, you have to just go manually execute those test cases. For example, what I said, correct username, wrong password, you just have to type it correctly. If you find any bug in that, you need to go to your Jira or whichever tool is being used in your organization, log that bug and finish it. So that's it. As a manual tester, you don't have to understand anything, just understand the application and understand the client requirements. So they say that it is very easy for any non-IT or any person who do not have technical knowledge to get into a technical domain like tester, because it is very easy. You don't have to understand many concepts as such. It is, you have to just know few of the concepts to get into any IT company. And few more things as a testers is you need to have a good communication skills, technical skills, leadership quality. You should be able to judge whether this is a bug or this is not a bug. So you need to have a good judgmental skills as well. And as a tester, what they expect from you is you need to think out of box, be creative, because you need to see, okay, if I have to log bugs, you should come up with both positive scenario and negative scenario. Obviously, positive scenario would not fetch you more results. When it comes to negative scenarios, that itself will fetch you good results, because you can find more bugs. You are thinking out of the box. What else can be the, what else are the ways you can find the bugs? So basically, you need to be out. You must be thinking creatively to find more bugs. And when it comes to automation usually after 1 or 2 years of experience, 2+ years of experience, people switch from manual testing to automation testing. And in automation testing, you need to have the ability to write a good code, understand the architecture, which database what is required. So for automation testing, obviously you need to have some technical skills of writing the code, understanding the systems and application architecture, and the knowledge of the database. Clear?
Yes, Pooja. But I have another. I have a question.
Sure.
For automation, as you said that for manual you don't need any technical knowledge, and for automation you need. So, if in automation we find a bug, so does the tester fix the bug, or will the developer do it?
So in automation, you feel that there is a bug while executing the test case, or what? Can you just explain me the little bit in depth what you meant by finding a bug?
See, because you said about in automation, you need to have the ability to write a code and good understanding of the system, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to ask that when you find a bug during if you are into automation, then do you fix that bugs and write the codes? Is it that?
It's automation engineer's job itself to fix the code if you find any bugs inside your code. But when you execute your automation code, and if the bug is on the application, say whatever the code you have developed is to test an Gmail application where username is correct and password is correct, and when you click on sign in, it has to take into the mailbox, but it is not doing that. Then you need to log that bug to the developer, and he will take care. But if there is something in your code which is going wrong, then it is an automation engineer's job itself to fix it and make sure that it is working fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Did I answer your question?
Thank you, Pooja.
Thank you. Okay. So now you understand what are the skills which is required for manual and what are the skills which is required for automation tester. So another question which you would have frequently heard, product, what is product and what is project. So project is usually developed based on customer's requirement and his usage only. Service-based companies, for example, say they get the project from client. So for example, you say Wipro. Wipro is a service-based company, and it gets the project from, say, Axis Bank. So the requirements of Axis Bank and, say, ICICI Bank is two different things. Axis Bank will have its own web page, and ICICI Bank will have its own web page, right? So in a project, we get the requirements from the customers and his usage only. So in project life cycle, initiation, planning, executing, monitoring and control, and closing, everything goes as per customer's requirement. Whereas in a product is developed based on company specifications as a multiple customers. So product, say for example, Adobe. Adobe is a product-based company. So for example, it introduces its Photoshop to the market. It has developed its own product based on its market introduction. It introduced a small product on the market. It saw what is the growth of that particular product, what is the market maturity. If it has reached the market maturity, if people are ready to accept the product and they are happy to, they have a very positive feedback on that product, so what they do is they actually expand their business in that particular product. So for example, Adobe Reader. So initially what they would have done is they would have introduced for a small set of people. They would have seen the reaction and they would have seen, oh, okay, this product has a good market growth. Then we would go forward. If it doesn't have, then they go and decline it. So basically, project and product, you can say as project is related to the services, product is related to their own product which they develop. Any questions? Are you guys able to understand? Rani, Pratyusha?
No. Yeah, Pooja.
Okay.
Hi Pooja, this is Pratyusha.
Yeah, Pratyusha. So
I have a question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
You just explained that about the Axis Bank and ICICI Bank.
Yeah.
It is related to project, and there are some applications which is related to Axis Bank which we can download in the mobiles and we can use. So whether it comes under the product or the project?
It comes under the project because it is the requirement only for the Axis Bank. They have a different app, and ICICI will be having the different app. That's the reason it comes under project. Okay.
Okay, Pooja. Thank you.
Thank you. So another concept as a QA engineer which we need to know is verification and validation. Currently, I'm not getting into depth because since this is a demo class, I'm just giving a high level thing. We will be going into depth of each of the topics in the actual classes. Okay. So verification and validation. There are two concepts. So what is verification and what is validation? Verification is a static practice of verifying documents, design, code, program. So by the term verification itself, you should be understanding it as a verifying. You are verifying something against something. So for example, here you actually do not have to execute any code. It's a human-based checking of documents and files. It means you would have got a client requirement. Okay, these are the client requirement. You need to develop this application. So developer takes care of the development of the application. As a tester, what we need to understand is we just have to understand the document, client requirement. Okay, this is the client requirement. This is what we are doing. This is what is supposed to do. And we do not actually execute any code. We just have to verify the document, understand the requirement. If we have any doubts with the requirement, we go back to the client and ask for the clear understanding of the requirement. Once we understand the clear requirement, we come back and we write down the test cases for it. So when do we actually execute the code? We execute the code under the process called validation. In validation, we actually go execute the test cases. Developers execute their code. As a tester, we execute our test cases. So it's basically execution of program is happening in validation process. So validation itself has different methods like test, white box, gray box testing, functional testing. For now, you don't have to break your head for what are the different testings which are being used. Just you need to know the difference between verification and validation. Verification, you are just verifying the documents, program. If you have any doubts, any clarification is required, you go to the client. But in the case of validation, you actually validate your test cases, execute them. Execution phase is called as validation phase. So you actually go ahead and execute the test cases. You do different types of testing like black box, gray box, white box testing, and log the defect if you find any bug in your system on your tool which is being used in the organization. So for now, just two different things between verification and validation is verification. You need to verify the documents, design, understand the requirements. In validation, you actually execute your test cases, understand that the application is working perfectly fine, and if you have any bug, go ahead and log the bug and assign it to the developers. Again, after the developer has fixed, refix it, redo the same thing, and if it is fixed, close the bug. This is the process which is done in validation. Okay, any questions?
Yes, Pooja, okay.
Okay. So what is the process which is being followed? Here I'll just give you one small example. So what is the different phase of verification and validation? So in verification, we get the business requirement and software requirements, which is usually we get it from the client. So client gives what are the software requirements, what the software is supposed to do, what it is not supposed to do, and the design and coding part is being taken care by the design part is taken care by the software architect, and coding part has been taken care by the developers. So in verification phase, what I said, we actually just verify the documents. As a tester, with respect to the testing, we actually go through the client requirement, understand the client requirements. If you have any doubts, probably first person to approach would be your internal teams, say for example architects or developers. Even if they do not understand the requirements, we go back to the client saying, okay, this requirement is not clear, can you please give us more information on that? So all these things are taken care in the verification part. Business requirements, software requirement analysis, we get the requirements from the client. Design, high level design, low level design is being taken care by the software architect in your organization. Coding is being taken care by the testers. Okay, so this is called verification part. When it comes to the validation part, we actually execute the code. Actually, we are doing the testing in the validation part. Okay, so in the validation part, we do our testing. We make sure, okay, whatever bugs, whatever we have found, whatever we are gonna test is done in validation phase. So for example, the one which you see in the green box, so all the planning and UAT test cases, system test cases, don't get into the terminology. I will explain you in the further classes. This is just, I'm giving you a brief introduction on what is the difference between verification and validation. So there are different types of test steps which we follow in validation. So as I told you, there are different types of testing which we do. Functional testing, white box testing, black box, gray box. So there are different types of test cases which we would be writing. So when we write the test case, these many test cases, we make sure, okay, all the test cases should be mapped with our client requirements. So whatever client requirement has. So for example, client has 10 requirements. First test case should be, say, first requirement should have a test case also. Requirement 1 should have test case for itself. Requirement 2 should have the test case for itself. So we should make sure that all the requirements have all the test cases. Once all the requirement has all the test cases, we actually go ahead and execute those test cases and make sure that the software is complete. It is bug free. If we find any bugs, we go ahead and log the bug and assign it to the developers. Clear, guys?
Yes, Pooja.
Okay.
Yes, Pooja.
Okay. Any doubts?
Pooja, please explain it again. I mean, design, high level design and low level.
Okay, one second. So as I told, we get requirements from the client. So before actually we execute a code, write a code, we need to design the software as per the client requirement. So in every organization, there will be a software architect. Like software tester or software developer, we even have a role called software architect. To become a software architect, you need to be in IT field more than 15 years plus, because you need that much of knowledge to design any software. So high level design and low level design are the patterns of that software development. So before before we write the code, we need to know, okay, so say for example, you can consider an Axis Bank application. It has 10 different pages. What first page should contain, what second page should contain, what is the code which we need to use. So number of pages, what it should contain is given by the client, say Axis. But what is the language which we are going to use? Say Java or C# or any other Python, which language we are going to use, what are the modules which we need to follow, is being given by the software architect. Okay, he would be deciding, okay, you need to follow Java, we need to have these many interfaces, say 10 interfaces, 10 methods. Don't get confused between interfaces, methods, we'll be discussing that. For now, just understand what it means. So basically an architect will decide, okay, this languages should be used, Java should be used, we need to have it on which virtual machine, how many virtual machines are required, is all decided by the software architect. And developer actually codes it. As a tester, we just have to understand the client requirements, write the test cases, and in validation we need to execute those test cases. Are you clear now?
The difference between both of them, I wanna ask.
Okay. So in verification, as I told, in verification we are just gonna review the client documents. The term itself says verification. So we are just reviewing the client requirement, understanding what the client requirement is. If we do not understand the client, sorry?
I want to ask about high level design and low level design. I mean difference between both of them, not in verification and validation.
Okay, you mean to say high level design and low level design?
Yeah.
So when it comes to an architect, he would be actually having two different things. He would be designing, okay, this is high level and this is low level design. So high level design is basically, they would be coming up, okay, it explains the architecture that would be used for developing the software. So for example, high level in the sense, you have a software, say Axis Bank software. It has some kind of architecture which we would be designing. So say page 1 will have 10 different modules. Page 2 will have 20 different modules. So it explains the architecture. Okay, first module should go in the first slot. Second module should go into the second slot. So in a higher level pattern, it explains the architecture that would be used for developing a software. But when it comes to a low level design, it is divided into component. It tells, okay, component 1, as I told, in page 1 it has 10 components. That is called high level. It is telling that architecture is telling that, okay, in first page it has 10 components, but it is not getting into the components. In low level design, component level design process is being followed. The steps are refined so that each component we will be telling, okay, for component 1 will be doing, so it will be logging in component 2 it will log out. So we are going in depth, and the architect defines, okay, component 1 is supposed to log into the Axis Bank's website. Component 2 will be actually going to fetch the results. What is the account summary? What are the details which are available in component 2? In component 3, it will be actually, the architect will be defining in each component what that software is supposed to do. Architect will define in component 1 the software is supposed to do this thing. Component 2, the software is supposed to do this thing. Developer will go and code according to the components which is being defined by the architect. So in high level, it is giving a picture saying in page 1 we'll have 10 components. But in low level design, it is going inside each component and saying what that component is supposed to do. And clear?
Thank you so much. Understood.
Yeah.
So high level is basically like an overbrief, and low level is basically in a detail. Is that correct?
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
Anything else? You have any questions? Everyone is clear?
Yes. Yes, Pooja.
If you have any doubts, do stop me, because for today's class I just had, these are the main topics which we had to cover. You guys have to know. So if you had any doubts in this, do let me know. And in the meanwhile, can you guys even ping me all your email IDs and phone numbers together in the chat box, please? I'm just pinging. So you guys were able to understand, right, what was discussed in today's class?
Yes, Pooja.
Yes, Pooja.
Okay.